morning or afternoon or whatever time it is there. Let's talk about AI. This is our series of explaining what the emerging technologies are that I care a lot about, and I think you should care a lot about. In review, we last episode we talked about blockchain, and the other one is nanotechnology, and that's coming. But this is the one that I think is going to be the most pervasive, and you've heard a lot about. This is our show about what you need to know about AI. And so what I'm going to do today is use some AI to show you how important AI is. First of all, there's some questions about AI. And so let's find out what those are. I'm going to pull up my screen here to a program called Claude.ai. And when I can see the screen, there we go. It just simply asks, what can I help you with today? You've probably heard of ChatGPT. It does something similar, as does my other favorite right now is Perplexity. But there are a whole bunch of them. When you're using X, which used to be Twitter, it's called Grok. Pretty much the same thing. Google's is currently called, they just changed the name to Gemini, and it was Bard. And what happens is you see the screen up here, and you just ask a question and it answers it for you. So let's ask a question. What does a professional need to know about AI? And we ask the question, and here comes the answer. And it's as simple as that. You type in a question as the answer. And the odd thing, and my reason for putting it this way, I'm just constantly surprised. These have been out for some time, very much commercially available, free. In fact, today we're using a free version of. Excuse me, I got a screen helper there. I'm not using my pro subscription. Let's just go to Claude, CLAUDE.ai, and type in a question, and you get this. These are the things that you need to know. Okay, great. And these are going to be pretty much what I was going to talk about anyway. So I'm in a little ways cheating because this is not a topic that is, difficult for me to just extemporaneously talk about. But let's make it look better. Short bullet points. And down at the bottom of the screen, hopefully you can see that. I type in short bullet points, and it said point, but it figured out that I meant points. There they are, and some nice things to go over. And I'm going like, well, that's nice, but let's make this an outline because I want to be able to look at this. And as I'm talking to you today, and so I'm going to say, create outline with 3 sub points. Spell points right this time. And there we go. And the reason for showing you this is the number one question I get about using AI is, what do I really need it? I'm a tech guy. I have a large Twitter following. Wrote the first book about Twitter 16 years ago. And so I talk to a lot of people there. And so I do polls. I did a poll, and then my tech future-oriented crowd and came back and said, how many of you used AI? It's a minority. And how many of you think you need to use AI every day? But turns out you are using AI every day. And it is behind all sorts of things like this chatbots that you talk to, where, you don't seem to get quite the right answer when you're trying to get customer service. The Siri and the The other one from Amazon, which is on in this room, so I won't say the name, but and you can shout out what you want and it'll give you an answer. They've always been pretty bad. The difference is they're getting much better, much faster. So let's just kind of go through this here. And let's see. Let's make the main points bold. There we go. A little bit easier for me to see. We got an extra line between B and C, but we're okay. The AI fundamentals, what the heck is that? Current capabilities. Current capabilities are many people could be fooled. I just saw a study done. 3,200 people were shown copy or text written, persuasive text written by Claude AI and written by a human. And how they tested it, I didn't get from the study what they were doing. Obviously, they don't say, here's A and B, pick the one that's best. Looking at it, the machine, the AI one looked better, but that's easy to be biased and that sort of thing. So they used them. And of course, the ultimate will be when you're trying to sell something and you sell half of the people that see the ad is written by AI and half, or a sales pitch, and half is written by somebody else. It's persuading as well as a human being. Taking tests, doing well. We'll get into the limitations next. Let's see. Oh, I'm reading this outline for the first time with you, and sure enough, limitations is next. Limitations are that the AIs are not these LLMs, large language models, are not quite as good as a human being in being able to look like a human being. They're getting much better really fast. So, and keep in mind, they're as bad as they will ever be. So the limitation is right now you can still tell something written by a computer is not quite written by a human. But what it's doing is picking out the most predictable. Do you see this one in your Google, the Gmail? I use this all the time, and it completes sentences for you or suggests sentences. And I remember talking to somebody when it came out, and they said, I like that the prompt's there because I know to ignore it and write something else because I like to be creative. And that was 2 years ago. Last year was doing pretty good. Recently, I tried it. It looks as good as my writing, and it's getting better. And that's the thing. That's the reason why you got to pay attention to AI. So, and the other thing is we see a whole lot of news about AI taking over. And of course, they love to talk about the risk scenarios, things like that. But what what we don't get is much outside of these chatbots, and that's the spearhead. That's what, like last time we talked about blockchain, and everybody thinks blockchain is crypto. Yeah, getting all the news right now. But in AI, it's a similar thing. These chats are just the surface. But I suggest that if you haven't, do it today. Go to one of these websites and start typing in questions. I found it took about 3 months, and I got to where I always wanted to go here instead of going to Google for a search. And now they're tying search into there, and actually, I think it's still an option on Google search, but Perplexity is one I use. Perplexity.ai. We'll get these in the show notes, but at Perplexity.ai, you get a search with the results and the sites, but also does a good job of writing something like what we're seeing on the screen right now. Or are we seeing it on the screen? Let's see. Yes, there it is. And so the other things that it's doing is self-driving cars, robots, all that come from the use of AI. And here's the trajectory we're on. Ray Kurzweil, very smart guy, who brought us OCR, optical character recognition. That is text. That is speech. What that's text to speech, and or being able to read something that's scanned, and also some speech to text. Early back in the 80s, he was working on that thing. Went on. He is a Google fellow, I believe. He has been predicting the future, writing books about it ever since. Kurzweil, Kurweiz, Kurzweil, Kurzweil, and he predicted 30 years ago that we would be to a singularity point where the machines were smarter than any human being, and he's still predicting that to be by 2029. And other experts are saying that he's not quite as optimistic as them, and then a lot of people are still saying no, that's impossible. But I think he's pretty well right on, and I've been following him for 30 years, and his predictions tend to come true. The interesting thing about that is the year after AI is as smart as any human will be the year where they go way beyond us. Unlike humans, the AI learns. This is why self-driving cars are like not quite ready and have been not quite ready for some time. It's because when they become ready, and right now a self-driving car is, if you do statistical data on how many deaths are caused by a self-driving car compared to human, far more safe to drive in a self-driving car, and that's today. They're still working out the same thing when they were doing optical character recognition. We saw programs in the 80s that said it was like 90%, and then it was 95%, and then it was 98%, and it seemed to stay there forever. Today, you kind of expect that if you took a printed page and put it in a scanner and convert it into text, that text will be as good as somebody typing it in, because humans make errors too. And the difference is the AI keeps getting better. It's just that last little bit before it becomes the best that is we're all waiting for. So let's talk about AI in profession. That's because I said the word professional. Now, I wouldn't have labeled it profession, but professions, careers. I think I used business when I tested this a little earlier. And we talk about where it can be. The thing you want to think about is you want to use automation to take the drudgery out of your job. So if what you're doing is cutting and pasting over and over again, and you can get somebody else to do it, that's great. If the machine learns that, I know right now in spreadsheets that if you start putting in information in a third column when you've already got two columns that are labeled, and the third column is just the second column times 50% more, 10 becomes 15, 20 becomes 30. By the time you type a couple of them in, you can push a button and it will fill out the rest of the row. You don't have to enter the formula. You just have to show it what you want, and it figures it out. Next, it'll be asking, wouldn't you like to see this? What sort of increase would you like to see in column 3? And it'll be figuring that out. And then ultimately, we'll be asking, what's going to happen? Now, if this is my sales target and it's going up by 14%, then it'll just tell you what you need to do. And then it will go and do a lot of that. The big surprise to me is the coding, the software coding being done by machine learning, and it's doing a better job than most programmers, at least as a first pass. So is that putting people out of work? No, it's making the people that do it much more efficient. I'll give you an example from not AI, is using drafting software on computers. Used to be back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and we just started building things, When I was a kid, an architect spent a whole lot of time making the drawings, the architectural drawings, laying out where things were going to be. Then software came along. In the 80s, I did a lot of work with plotters, and they were getting pretty good. And then suddenly the plotter went away, and we went to laser printers. And it used to be that a plotter had to pick up a pen and draw a line. It just figured out the whole page and then put the lines where they needed to be and printed a lot faster. The other thing is the software, CAD, computer assisted design, would do the whole layout, and it was still took a trained operator. Last time I talked to an architect about it, he says he doesn't do that anymore because he outsources it. He has people that can do that. I haven't checked with AI, but that job will go the other way. And I said, are you worried about not having a job? And the architect said, no. I spent all my time with higher level things like showing people, explaining to people how they can get a better building instead of spending time at a drafting table by myself drawing things. And that happens over and over again. We use word processors instead of typewriters, and the world gets better. A little bit difference with the AI. And by the way, I wanted to start off with identifying AI. I think AI is assisted intelligence. Other people, will argue about what the A and the I should be. Is it intelligence? Does it have a soul? Is it thinking? No, not so far. But AI being a tool that you use, don't worry about what it stands for. I think it's assisting you and helping you get things done better. So each person becomes more efficient. AI supposedly taking over jobs, but right now, the latest employment statistics I saw was that there are more open jobs than there have been in a long time, more employment, less people collecting unemployment assistance. A lot of people underemployed and having problems needing to be trained. Of course, the AI like this is going to be able to help you learn something. So I think, as we see some jobs go away, like making buggy whips. We used to use vinyl records all the time. It's an example of a job went away, but that's made a comeback for a whole different generation and way of doing it. So let's talk a bit about the ethics. We're on number 3 now, AI ethics and governance. I just attended a week-long conference on the AGI. That's the artificial general intelligence. Again, I don't really care much about that. That's when you can ask a question, the AI will figure out what to do, like a human would. The reason it was important here, the guy that invented the term AGI was running the conference, and he says we need to stop thinking about what the guardrails are and how we can control the AI, because we know it's getting smart enough that it's a question of whether or not it will try to take control of us. First of all, real simple, if the AI is going to take over, and it's not the AI, it's AIs, because there are already many of them, they're competing. I think the chances are we won't have just one. But if becomes one big giant big brother AI that takes over the world and then decides it doesn't need us, we're already on a path where we can't go back and choose not to do that. To me, the problem comes if you think I'm going to sit on the sideline because AI could take over, could be a problem. Well, I'm assuming you're one of the good guys. You're doing positive things in the world. We need you to use these tools and advance knowledge and your ability for productivity as fast as possible. Still a lot of people in the world that don't have a good meal, a place to stay, and clean water. The very basics that in a Western world we take for granted. There's still a lot of people left to help out, to bring along, to train the people that are trained on an old job and have been doing the same thing for decades or have never had a job. Raising up that I'd hate to say workforce because I don't know how much work we'll be doing. But as we do less and less work, we have labor saving devices, and we need to use them to try to help everybody else, because the bad guys will. They are looking at this. The spam's getting better. The scams are getting harder to tell the difference. If you do get a phone call and it sounds like your cousin you haven't heard from in a while, or one of your children in trouble, and boy, you can't tell that it's not them, it's an AI, you could get scammed pretty bad. Well, we need somebody fighting those things. And bottom line, though, there's more good people than bad people, so let's not worry too much about it. Okay, the things we do have to worry about is the privacy, the security. You don't want to go here to Claude AI or ChatGPT and maybe even a Google search and just be typing in anything that you consider private. Here's a list of my passwords. Please organize them. You may want to be careful about where you put that, because there is a way that might be hacked or stored someplace where somebody could hack and get it. So basic security concerns, but this is the same as anything has been online. I remember teaching people when email was new. The thing about getting on a computer and sending a message was you needed to assume it was like sending a postcard, because when you send a postcard, the text is right on the card. But most people don't bother to read that. The delivery people are too busy sorting and delivering things to bother with it. But it is out there in the open. It's a lot like anything on the internet, and a lot of security has been invented, and I trust it. But at the same time, we're coming up with some very, very smart computers. So you got to think about that from a personal level. The other thing from a personal level is the ethics. If you're a good person, then the computer will have good ethics because it's following you. When it gets to the point that it's smart enough that it desires something, I guess we're all in trouble. But right now, all of the future predictions I've read or studied or thought about says that we're a long ways from a robot deciding that what it wants is to do us harm. And if that ever happens, we do whatever safeguards we can. But we're not going to be in control. It's not going to be a government telling the AI what to do. It's going to be the people that use it, the program. The programmer is going to be you, because you're going to ask for something and it's going to happen. So I think that's where we get into the skills and adoption. Just get started trying to use this. Think about what is the thing that makes you say, I don't have time to learn AI, and then type in something about that and let the knowledge of the world come back and tell you what you could do to shortcut that. Better ways to run your business, make sales, better new recipes to eat, better ways to organize a group, all those kind of things. How to motivate your employees, how to motivate your children. And whatever it is you want to know about, what's your favorite hobby? Ask the question, and that knowledge is there. Is it fake? Yes. Can there be mistakes on it? Yeah, sure. You've heard about hallucination, probably, that the AI will make up something. I'm showing you a demonstration here. There isn't anything false that's on this what do you call it? This outline we're working on. It's this is all as far as I can see, it made no mistake. Be careful right now about asking an AI, what did Abraham Lincoln do at his 14th birthday party? It may make up something. It doesn't know. Be careful, and also be careful of what other people have generated with it, because that everything from a movie to an email from somebody could be a fake. Really, that was true a year ago. That will be true in next year. It's going to be a little bit harder to tell. So if you're gullible and just look, you got a problem. So learn the skills to go ahead and fact check something. I have actually taken something generated by an AI that had false information in it, and then asked for the citations, and it came back. Now, this particular thing we've done here doesn't have it, but quite often it'll have the little markings in the text and show you that where you can go to see that, where they grabbed it online, or where you can find something like that. Some search engines now are building it in like that, so you can see. So there you go. I love what they called the last section. This is kind of fun here. I've never done this before, where I let the AI tell me what to talk about, but sure enough, human AI collaboration, that is the key. No matter what you're doing, AI is going to help you do your job better. If what you're doing is physical labor without any decision making or paperwork or communication with others, well, then maybe a robot will have to take over that job. But your drudgery, the part you don't like doing, will be gone. You don't need to wash your clothes in a barrel. You have a washing machine. And of course, from a washing machine, then you get somebody to do the wash for you. And then what you want is the clothes ready and laid out for you every day. I suppose that's what the royalty does. But my point being that in the future, we've got to think more about getting along with each other, communicating better, and then helping the people that don't have an ability to get this technology. There'll be fortunes made by people putting this stuff together. And one thing I learned early on about technology was that there's always more people doing well because of the technology than there are people in the technology. So don't think to do AI, you need to be an expert or take a prompt writing class or become a coder or go to work for the right company or maybe invest in the right stock. That might still work. But my advice would be, think about it as what you want to do and then get the AI to help. If you haven't come up with some ideas that you want to do, let's have a discussion. Leave me a comment, reach out. I'm most likely always on Twitter, x.com, and send me a message, ask a question. I'll be happy to discuss it further. Leave comments wherever you get the podcast, or tune in next time. We're going to talk about these things. We're going to find ways to do positive things and have a positive impact on the world. And with that, we'll wrap it up for this episode. Looking forward to seeing you next time when we talk about another emerging technology.